The victim's brother-in-law describes the incident like this. It was the 30th of Azar when our home phone rang. It was from Rask, the village of Hashemabad. That is where Azra taught and lived. They informed us that Azra had an accident and was in bad condition. Quickly, my brother-in-law, Azra's brother, and I headed to Rask. But when we arrived, we found out that Azra had passed away and they had taken her to the cold storage. They told us she had an accident, meaning a car hit her and fled. We went to the morgue and arranged for the transfer of the body to Zahedan. When the body arrived in Zahedan and her mother and sister saw it, they realized it wasn't an accident. Azra's entire body was bruised, her head was broken, and her hands seemed like they had been tied from behind. We kept the body in the Zahedan morgue as it was, and returned to Rask to find out what had happened. It was there that we realized what a disaster had befallen us. There was no accident. Azra was kidnapped, raped, and then killed under torture. Hello friends, welcome to the Confession channel. You are watching and listening to another case from our series of videos. The case of the brutal rape and murder of Azra Sargazi Moghadam, a young teacher in Rask County. If you're interested in crime confession reports, we'd be happy if you subscribe now and hit the bell next to it, so you don't miss new videos. The case of this horrifying crime was opened on the 28th of Azar, year 90, in one of the rural areas between the counties of Rask and Sarbaz in Balochistan, Iran. It was where Azra Sargazi Moghadam, a religious and Arabic teacher at a middle school, mysteriously disappeared. Azra had been living in that area since 5 years earlier, meaning the year 85. She was a contract teacher and lived alone. Azra was a good teacher. She also had a good relationship with the children, and the only issue that some locals had with her were the ideological differences between Shia and Sunni. Azra was somehow promoting the Shia religion in the area and among the kids, which was not at all pleasing to the Sunni families. However, the Shiite religious teacher had been living in that highly conservative Sunni region for a long time, and many people knew her and had accepted her presence. Until suddenly, Azra disappeared. On the morning of the 29th of Azar in the year 90, the students of Miss Sargazi's class came to class. But there was no news of their teacher. It took 2 or 3 hours before the other teachers and school officials found out and decided to inquire about the teacher. But no matter how much they try to contact her, there's no news of her, and when they don't get any news, they start heading towards her house to maybe find her. But they realized that Miss Sargazi, since the day before when she left school, she was lost and did not return home. This issue causes concern for the school's administration, and nearly all the school staff and some residents of the area gather to possibly find any trace of the missing teacher. What multiplied their concern and led them to notify the police was that the route Azra Sargazi Moghadam took to her house was less than two-part. While they were searching for Azra on the same remote path, they found 2 things that increased their worry and confirmed that something must have happened to the school's religious studies teacher. First, they found the previous day's exam papers, which the teacher had taken home, scattered along the path. After a bit of searching, they found a grocery shopping bag that apparently belonged to the teacher. Then the police got involved, and with the help of the locals, they covered the few kilometers in the area. And finally, they found what they were looking for, but not alive. The half-naked and battered body of 35-year-old Azra Sargazi Moghadam was found in a pit. The body was quickly transferred to the forensic medicine department, and the result was horrifying. The evidence remaining on the body confirmed that Azra was abducted on her way back home from school. She was raped, beaten, and tortured to the point of death, and finally killed by hitting her head with a hard object like a stone or brick. The rape and murder of a Shia religious teacher. It means he was killed with something like a stone or brick. The assault and murder of a Shia religious teacher in a traditional area caused very high sensitivity, and for this reason a team of detectives from Zahedan was dispatched to the crime scene in the shortest possible time, and investigations began to find traces of the perpetrators of this crime. In the initial examination of the crime scene, the trace of 2 pairs of men's shoes and a motorcycle track were found and identified. The murderers of this teacher were 2 men who raped the woman and later killed her by smashing a hard object against her head. The body was found in a condition where there was no sign of robbery, and none of the gold the teacher wore on her hands or neck was missing. This made the issue even more suspicious and complicated about what terrifying motive and hatred were behind this crime. Officers, using tire tracks and extensive local investigations, reached 2 suspects with criminal records in the same area named Nazar Mohammed and Abdul Latif. Both were arrested as suspects and underwent interrogation. They tried to appear uninformed and claimed they knew nothing. However, as the interrogations progressed, their statements became more contradictory, and in the end, they got caught in their lies and had no choice but to confess to the rape and murder. The defendants in the Azra Sarkis-Mogada murder case were devout nephews with extremely radical religious beliefs who had previously been involved in conflicts due to ideological issues. When they learned that a Shia Muslim religion teacher had insulted their beliefs and sacred things, they devised a horrific plan to punish him. Due to the high sensitivity of the case, which could have ignited conflict between Shia and Sunni in the region, it proceeded very quietly. And at first, they even told the victim's family that he had died in an accident and delivered the body to them. But the news quickly reached the media, and it could no longer be hidden. Such that Hojatul Islam Ibrahim Hamidi, the head of the Sistan and Baluchistan judiciary, was also forced to react to this case, and while confirming the rape and murder, promised to address the case in the shortest possible time. Hamidi said that in early Azar month, Mrs. Azra Sargazin, a teacher from Ras County, was abducted by 2 motorcyclists from Hashamabad village. After the abduction, they took this woman into the mountains of the area, and after sexually assaulting her, they killed her by striking her face, chest and head with a stone and then fled. Given that this murder had a very negative impact among the local people, the case was put on the agenda of the judicial authorities, and 2 days after the incident, Nazar Mohammad Askani, son of Nur Mohammad, and Abdul Latif Askani, son of Yahya, were identified and arrested in Sarbaz County and were sent to prison with an issued arrest warrant. These 2 people confessed to their crime, and the murder scene was also described and recorded by them. This case of rape and murder was one of the most controversial and sensational criminal cases in Iran. In 7 stages of the trial, which concluded in just 54 days, the verdict was issued. The first branch of the Provincial Criminal Court sentenced both defendants to the death penalty for murder, and also gave them 99 lashes for harassment and acts against decency. However, the verdict was not upheld by the Supreme Court because, based on forensic medical evidence, rape was proven. With the overturning, it did not succeed because, based on forensic documents, rape by force was proven. With the verdict rejected in the Supreme Court, the case returned to court, and this time it was reviewed in the second branch of the Provincial Criminal Court. And ultimately, the defendants, namely Nazar, Mohammed and Abdul Latif, were sentenced to 15 years in prison for kidnapping and to retribution and execution for the charges of rape and murder. This second sentence was confirmed by the Supreme Court and was carried out on the 20th of Tir 91 in Zahedan Central Prison. Thank you for staying with us until now. Please share your thoughts with us at the bottom of this page, and if you haven't joined our channel yet, support us and our activities by subscribing.